everyone, it's me, Mama Yu, and guess what, y'all? Today we'll be reacting to the Ben Shapiro's Destroys the Barbie movie for 43 minutes. If you don't know who Ben Shapiro is, he is a conservative who has super conservative views, and I'll be reacting to his video, who reacted to the movie. So basically, it's like a three-way channel. But anyway, I am pretty unbiased when it comes to Barbie because although I did play with dolls as a kid, I never specifically played with Barbie, the brand, right? And even when I played with dolls, the plastic dolls, I played with them for like a very short segment of my childhood years, so like I was never like a super fan of them. And fun fact, I didn't even know that the Mattel company makes the Barbies. Hence, Trixie Mattel got her name from, you know, Mattel. But anyway, now that I got a little bit of history lesson, that all makes sense. After watching the movie, I would say that the first 10 minutes was like pretty boring. Like, also I have a really short attention span. I would say that the first 10 minutes was kind of boring because it was too happy for me. It was like unicorns and glitters and colors. There was just no conflict. It was just like, hi everyone. I thought I was watching like a children's movie, but done by adults. But as the story progresses in the movie, I would have to say that it was really good. And it has a really impactful message as well. So anyway, let's get this party started with Ben Shapiro. And fun fact, every time I see him and also hear him talk, it reminds me of that character from The Simpsons. You know who I'm talking about? Like that guy that's like living in like the penthouse and stuff. But anyway, the evil one. All right, let's watch.
Well, folks, I just got back from the theaters seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm about to review both of them. I'm going to tell you which one of these is the best.
Why is he holding it like a cucumber, like a dildo?
And which one is maybe the worst.
I bet he loved our movie, right, Ken?
For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give my review of the Barbie movie in the most Oppenheimer fashion.
Already throwing Barbie out? Did you even watch it? Oh, poor Barbie. And do you think, let's be honest, I don't think Barbie cares because it's the fastest grossing movie in a very long time. It has surpassed over $1 billion.
So the things I do for my audience, my producers dragged me to go see Barbie the movie.
I think that's kind of fake. I think, you know, it's engagement and it's for him to talk about what he opposes to. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, where you can change your location with the click of a button. So, I don't know if you know or not, but where you live affects what contents are streaming on your services, ranging from movies, documentaries, TV shows, and more. So for instance, our friends in the UK, Australia, Down Under, Canada, or anywhere in the world cannot watch what we watch, and vice versa. So you're missing out on a lot of content that you don't know that exists. But with a click of a button, you can change your location and access all the contents that you deserve. And it comes in so handy when you're traveling too. Ta-da! It is absolutely safe to use, even on public Wi-Fi. And with one subscription, you and your friends can use it in multiple rooms on multiple devices, and that just saves you so much money. So go to the link in the description and use my code for 3 months free with Surfshark. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Now, it is time to see what our friends in the UK are watching. Girl, that's a lot of content.
And I have thoughts. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Let me begin.
He's sponsored by ExpressVPN, and I'm sponsored by Surfshark VPN.
This movie is a flaming piece of dog piled atop an entire dumpster on fire, piled atop a landfill filled with dog. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. On every possible level, it is a horrific movie. The only thing that can be said for this film is production design. The production design is really nice. The costumes are really nice. Also, it's really hard to screw that up.
Fun fact, like all the sets that you see in Barbie are actually built.
It's really hard to screw that up because you literally have this to model after. All you have to do is this, but big, okay? It's really not tough. But put aside all of the beautiful costumes, which is there for the ladies, and all of the production design and the Barbie universe and all of that. Every joke that happens in this film happens basically within the first 45 seconds of the film. So for example, Barbie turns on the water and there's no water. Ooh, because you know, like in Barbie house, there's no actual water. Do you get it? And then
no shit.
But there's no actual liquid in the actual cup. Oh my God, because she's a Barbie doll. Oh, I get it. Okay,
no shit.
That's all the jokes. There are no more jokes for the rest of the film. The movie's a show. Okay, so conceptually, the movie is a show. I want to ask this: who's the intended audience for this film? Who's the intended audience for this film? So I'll tell you who the intended audience for this film is. And I can tell two ways. One, the previews on the film, and two, the people in the audience. So the intended audience for this film is moms and their 8-year-old daughters.
And what's wrong with that? Like, there's plenty of movies out there for men and boys and fathers and whatnot. Why not have a movie meant for girls and their moms if you think that's the demographics? But I don't think that that's the full demographic, but, you know, if he thinks that is, what's wrong with that? Why not have movies for other people, too? Anyway.
Those were all the previews, right? All the previews are actually directed at what the audience is supposed to be for this film. And if you look in the audience, it's a bunch of moms, like youngish moms, middle-aged moms, with their, like, 6, 7, 8-year-old girls. That's the entire crew. This movie is not made for any of those people. In fact, this movie is made for no one. This movie is going to make a bunch of money week one because the marketing effort has been extraordinary. I mean, whoever's the marketing team over at Warner Brothers is doing an amazing job.
I do have to give them props that they do have an amazing marketing team. Like, you have been seeing Barbie everywhere. Like, collaborations, posters.
Week one, this thing is going to clean up at the domestic box office. My prediction is going to just absolutely fall off a cliff after that. The repeat business on this movie is going to be non-existent because it was written by two people who are so smug and self-satisfied, in Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, that they have no audience.
Plot twist! Surpassed $1 billion. Fastest grossing movie.
Bring on the people who wrote Lady Bird and Marriage Story to make a movie about a plastic doll that is generally played with by 5 to 9-year-old young girls.
But the thing is, there's so many, like, figurines that boys play too, like Batman, Superman. They made movies out of that. Toy Story. Like, so what's wrong with having Barbie? Have something for the girls.
Basic sort of premise of the film, politically speaking, is that men and women are on two sides of the divide and they hate each other. And literally the only way you can have a happy world is if the women ignore the men and the men ignore the women. That seems to be the final outcome of this film.
I don't think that was the final outcome of the film. I'm not gonna spoil it if y'all haven't seen it, so if you wanna skip it, because I'm gonna spoil it a little bit, feel free to do so for the next, 15 seconds or 10 seconds. But the conclusion of the film is that men and women can work together in Barbie Land. That was the conclusion that I got from it. I don't know, what movie he saw.
This movie is 2 hours. It feels like it is longer than the Wagnerian ring cycle. It does not
I don't
end.
know what that means,
Every
but
scene is at least 2 minutes too long. Every single scene, every beat is 2 minutes too long. It is a bad film. Put aside the politics. Really, I was sitting there with a bunch of my producers. I'm a little bit more political than my producers. My producers were watching this, putting the politics aside. It is a bad movie. So why is it getting 91% on Rotten Tomatoes? Because the way that it works for the reviewers is if you have the right politics, and those politics are sufficiently slyly inserted, then it will get a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, even if the thing is just dreck. And I mean, boy, is this dreck. This is a Death Star-sized piece of dreck. It is like, that's no moon. That's a dreck station. That this movie. Okay, so let's jump into it. I have like pages and pages of notes on this.
All right, let's get to the point, baby.
And we get a 2001 A Space Odyssey flashback. Which again, who's the audience for this? Right, the reference points in this film, it references variously Marcel Proust.
Okay, I will give him points that scene didn't make sense to me, really. Like, I thought that scene could have been taken out, personally. I will give him that.
It references 2001 A Space Odyssey. This is a movie made for moms and their 7-year-old girls. Well, folks, wasting 2 hours of my precious time, 2 hours I will never get back. 2 hours on my deathbed I will win.
We're 6 minutes in, and he still hasn't really said anything.
And that is our trusted privacy partner.
Oh my god, let's skip this part. So basically, he drags the movie for 40 minutes because, part of it is an ad.
She fails. And
Okay, get to the point. Oh my god.
the monologue, you have Helen Mirren saying, because Barbie can be anything, women can be anything. At least that's what the Barbies think. See, in the real world, women can't be anything. And that's one of the messages of the film. In the real world, men run pretty much everything.
That's kind of it.
Piece of
I mean, that is kind of the tea, though. Men do kind of run the world. Rich, white men run the world. Not just any men. Rich, white men run the world.
There's a scene on the beach
He's just summarizing the movie.
It's supposed to be the lifeguards and the ladies are playing on the beach. And we get a series of gay masturbation jokes. Again, there's an audience for children. They're talking about beaching each other off. Right? There's a line.
Here's the thing though, like if you watch a lot of children's movies, like as an adult, there's a lot of innuendo, like nuanced jokes in there. So this is not new for Hollywood. The thing is, it's only sexual if you make it sexual.
Because it's just such a great gay masturbation joke. You got to go for it. I mean,
Why does it have to be gay?
I think if you don't go for the gay masturbation joke on the beach, clearly, Barbie has irrepressible thoughts of death. So again, at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, isn't this a kid's movie? Isn't this supposed to be made for 7-year-old girls?
Oh my god! Animals, people, characters die all the time in children's movies. There's guns. There's explosions. There's military tanks. There's gunshots.
One of the Barbies is a trans Barbie. And this is treated totally normally, as though this is a female Barbie with a voice, again, deeper than my own.
Let's be honest, a lot of people's voices are deeper than yours, myself included.
So Barbie starts to have these irrepressible thoughts of death. And this comes along with physical symptoms, like, for example, her feet flatten out. Again, this is one of the few cute jokes in the movie, is that Barbie walks around, and just like a normal Barbie doll, when you take off the shoes, the feet are shaped like the shoe, like the high heel. But now she is turning into like a real world person, and so her feet collapse, right?
So she's having death thoughts and her feet collapses. But like the thing we have to walk away from this is mental health is a serious issue at no matter what age it is. And if you do have mental health issues, you should seek for help. And it's normalized in the conversation.
From here on in, it makes no sense at all. Again, Kate McKinnon sets up the dichotomy that pretty much the makers of the film hate Barbie by suggesting that you can live in Fantasyland with Barbie and you can take the Barbie shoe, or you can take Birkenstocks, right? You can become like a Portland lesbian and you can learn about reality. That's going to be the choice.
When does that shoe get associated with lesbianism?
The choice that you have to make, but not before she makes a joke about Ken and wanting to see the nude blob he is packing under those pants.
Somebody said that?
Perfect for 8-year-old girls, ladies, mothers.
I'm curious, what is the rating for Barbie? Barbie rating. It's PG-13. So, what is he complaining about? I think if you're age 13 and above, you can still watch Barbie, right? Like, if you're age 13 and above, you can still watch Spider-Man or Batman, right? It's not meant just for kids, just because it's Barbie.
Boom! She walks in, and a bunch of men just leer at her and say, "Give us a smile, Blondie," which is something that no one under the age of 70 has said to a woman in the recent past.
Yes, they still do. They still do. I still walk around in New York City and people still say, "Smile for me, can I have a hug? Oh, where do you live? Can I have your number?" People still do. They would say to me like, "Oh, smile Asian," or "Ni hao ma," or say a bunch of Chinese shit to me to make me feel like I need to go talk to them.
In the real world, all women are victims. They are deep and abiding victims of the system.
They are.
As we'll learn by the use of the word patriarchy no less than 10 times in this film. Not to skip ahead, Barbie Land just gets restored and the men are still subservient. That's the best version of the world.
I don't think that was the conclusion, but okay.
Around and he's really enjoying the patriarchy and all this.
Did y'all see that photo where he posted with like a bunch of like papers in his hands, like he's standing in front of the poster, but he was dressed as Ken, like he was like this holding it, like really unhappy. I thought that was just like very iconic and ironic too.
He explains that men rule this world, and he goes to Mattel and all the members of the board are men. By the way, I'd like to see a corporate breakdown of the Mattel board. I'll bet I can find it. Like the CEO of Mattel for 30 years was a woman. So there's that. They pretend that like Mattel is all run by men. So now I want to know who's on the board. Okay, Chairman and CEO is a dude. The board includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It includes 5 women. So it's 6 men and 5 women. Clearly patriarchal domination.
I think the bigger picture that we have to walk away with is not patriarchy within the Mattel company, but patriarchy in the United States and in the entire world. I think that's the bigger message that it's trying to send out there.
Whenever I do these reviews, like, oh, you're taking the movie too seriously. The movie takes itself this seriously, guys. It pretends to be a comedy, but it's taking itself super seriously. Fine.
These are fucking dolls!
With no actual plot.
Did he make his eyebrows darker? I think there's some like shading.
The only good line of the film, truly in my opinion, there's one good line in the film, and that is where Barbie is trying to contemplate whether she's a fascist or not, and she says, "I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce." Now, there's only one problem with that line, as with the entire movie. There is no character consistency. Barbie is supposed to be an idiot bubblehead piece of plastic from Barbie Land. How does she know what a fascist is? How does she know about the flow of commerce. Like, again, just in terms of character consistency, like characters who actually are the characters.
Okay, he makes a good point here. Okay, I didn't think about that.
And this sort of nonsense continues. The first third of the film is about how low-level members of Mattel is with the board.
I just tuned out for a second. Like, he was just...
And the low-level man says, I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? No, you can't parallel...
What the fuck is this? This is a Drag Race reveal?
Next, you will make a reference.
I thought that doing this video, I would have like all the reactions to his viewpoints, but all he's doing, he's just summarizing.
Okay, Ben graded everything over in Barbie Land that...
He's just summarizing. Like, what kind of fucking reaction video is this?
Also, what is the breakdown demographically of the Kens and the Barbies? Are there as many Kens as Barbies?
Okay, I will say the Dua Lipa wig is homophobic here.
There are a lot more Barbies than Kens. So if that's the case, why even do the democratic vote thing? Why not just seize the power? Because then you wouldn't have the rest of the dumb plot of this stupid film.
Because it's a movie, we need to build a climax. There needs to be problems. It's dolls. You're not supposed to take it too seriously.
Now, here's one place where you have a serious continuity error in the film. So, Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie at the beginning, half the time she plays Barbie is kind of stiff like a doll, and half the time she plays Barbie is just kind of normal. And so now she plays it super stiff like a doll. She sits down, in kind of 90-degree position like a Barbie would, and she keels over in the 90-degree position. And it would be funny, except she hasn't been doing it the whole film.
I think in the beginning, the point of her being stiff was she hasn't really learned about the real world yet. And then after she learned about the real world, she came back to Barbie Land. She has emotions. She has her own, emotions and her own thoughts. She kind of moves around like a human being instead of being so stiff, She's not being controlled anymore. I think that's the message it was trying to portray in the movie. And she's not robotic anymore. She learned about the truth, and she can think for herself.
And Michael Cera, for no reason, is in this film. And he's in the back of the car.
Oh, fun fact, Michael originally wasn't going to be in the film because his manager thought that he wouldn't be interested in the film because he thought that Michael wouldn't be interested in traveling to London to film Barbie. But when the manager told Michael, he was like, call them back, I want to be in it. But yeah, that's a little fun fact for all of you. For me, the character that Michael played, it's almost like he's like the gay guy in a group of men. Like all the straight alpha men's, like he's the gay guy. For me, personally. He's like the outcast, he's the outball, he's the queerdo.
Build a wall to keep people from getting in or getting out. Now, here's the weird part. No one has ever entered or exited Barbie Land before. Why are you building a wall? What is the necessity for a wall? No one explains. It's just a dumb Trump reference so that everybody who is friends with Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig can laugh and nod like the morons they are.
I laughed. That's the point. It's referencing today's society's political climate.
They're going to save Barbie Land. And who do they go to? They go to wise, weird lesbian Barbie. They go back to Kate McKinnon. And they ask her...
Who said she was a lesbian?
That's really the take of the film, is that it's all homoerotic.
Here's the thing about people that are a little bit close-minded. They think that anything with colors, anything with colors or anything with a pattern or something, they think it's gay. Just because it's not a plain t-shirt or jeans. You know what I mean? Anything is gay if it's out of the ordinary.
The filmmakers are so insecure with even their own script that they then have the narrator jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point, right? Because Barbie's saying, I don't feel beautiful anymore. And they're like, Margot Robbie. They literally jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point. Then maybe you shouldn't have written the point.
I think this point of the movie was breaking that fourth wall and connecting with the audience and not taking the movie too seriously. It's like a joke within a joke.
Then maybe you shouldn't write it like that. Maybe you should not be a writer. Maybe you could do that.
I don't think he understands it.
Okay, this is when we get the full bore. So the same tried, truistic bullshit that they've been propagating in every new wave feminist film for the last 45 years in the United States is now essentially telescoped into this one speech from America Ferrero, including a few cutaway shots of Margot Robbie looking up adoringly at America Ferrero as she explains that it's super hard to be a woman. It's so damn difficult to be a woman. You know why? Because of the patriarchy, because of the men. That's the actual story of the film.
I do agree, though, with America Ferrara.
The men, they like the Zack Snyder cut. Somehow they've been given 48 hours to stop the vote. So what are they going to do to stop this vote? How are they going to do it? Well, they're going to separate the men and the women.
Barbie!
They're going to turn all the Barbies against the Kens. It's so subtle. The symbolism is so subtle. Turn all the women against the men and you will save society. That's the message that you could be shoveling directly into the brain of your 8-year-old girl, if you so choose, this weekend.
Well, that's kind of how it's happening right now in America. They separate the poor and the rich. They separate people of different races, people of different religions, different sexual orientations. They attempt to make one group think that they're better than the other so that they can attack the other group for their whatever agenda they have going on. That's what kind of is happening. It's like an allegory that's happening inside the movie.
Many of us love the people we're married to. It turns out that actually describes a huge number of Western men, that we are not your enemies. And yet the entire premise of the movie is that what actually happened in the feminist movement is that women seized the power away from the men.
They kind of did. They had to fight for their rights to vote. So, it didn't happen in the first place. They did have to fight for it. It wasn't handed to them. It wasn't handed to them at the same time that men got their voting rights.
I'm sorry to break it to you, ladies. It ain't true. It ain't true. This notion that women vote as a block is not true. Married women vote very much like their husbands, actually. Single women vote more like a block now than they did before. One of them says, we have to reject men's advances without damaging their ego. Or theoretically, you could just reject men's advances and damage their ego because what do you care? You have to pretend to be confused about money. Is this a real thing? Like, do women pretend to be confused about money so the men will explain it to them?
I don't think he's, walked in anyone's shoes other than his own shoes. But yes, you sometimes you do have to play dumb so that you don't get in trouble. So that people don't see you as a threat, so that they don't target you.
I'm just kidding. Where I see love, she sees a friend.
What does any of this have to do with the plot? Nothing. Literally nothing. It is just a 15-minute digression because they wanted to insert a crappy musical number with not particularly good dancing.
And then, okay, I have to agree. I didn't really get the musical number either.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
He, who was literally created as a doll to be with Barbie, he needs to learn to be apart from Barbie, and she needs to learn to be apart from him because atomistic isolation and loneliness is the best way to find fulfillment, ladies and gentlemen.
I think the point from that part is trying to make is you can be independent as a woman, and you can also be independent as a man. It's about finding yourself and owning yourself and understanding yourself. Like, knowing yourself before falling in love and getting married and all that stuff, because you're gonna have a lot of baggage if you don't understand yourself.
So, ending number one is we find out that Ken is going to live apart from Barbie and he's going to find himself in being Ken.
Yeah, it's about finding Ken first, and then if it still, works out, it works out.
We're now 2 hours deep into this piece of shit.
I thought it was 1 hour and 50 minutes.
And we are going to keep digging.
What about China?
Ending number three. And we have now dug halfway to China, and we are going to keep digging.
So, digging to China.
Number three. They insert a bunch of footage, I kid you not, like home video footage of moms and daughters playing. That's what it is. Like people living their lives in female ways. Because Rhea Perlman is going to show Barbie what it's like to be a human, and then Barbie is going to say that she really wants to be a human just like you. Just like you. She goes to the gynecologist because, ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning. And it's not being a wife or a partner because women are supposed to be apart from men. It is your vagina.
I think that scene was supposed to be like a fun scene, a funny scene.
Last comment. Whenever I do film reviews like this, lengthy film reviews of movies like this, the left is always like, why are you taking this so seriously? How dare you take this so seriously? Well, because this is a movie where hundreds of millions of dollars will be expended to get people to watch it. It has a heavily political message. It is explicitly designed to divide men from women. It has these negative messages directed at kids.
I don't think it's to divide men and women. It's to encourage men and women to work together.
And I think a lot of people are going to have a right to be mad. So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way, it's just going to die in China. The overseas market for this film, good luck with the Chinese Communist government putting their kids in front of this sort of stuff. It is not going to happen. Final rating. Out of 10 Barbies, how many Barbies? 10 out of 10 being good. The answer is negative all the Barbies.
I thought you liked some parts.
This sucker goes in like my bottom 10 ever. The entire film is a dog's vomit.
It's about fucking Barbies.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with negative infinity Barbies. And also, by the way, Oppenheimer's good.
Okay, I didn't see Oppenheimer, but during that time when I went to the movie theaters, I had to pick between that or Barbie, and I picked Barbie because Barbie was 1 hour and 50 minutes, and the other one was like almost 3 hours, and I couldn't sit through it because, ADHD, undiagnosed. Out of all the Barbies, I would say maybe like a 7.5 Barbie. I wouldn't give it like a 10 out of 10 because the beginning, like I said, it was too happy for me. Like, there were no conflicts. It was too smiley, so I feel like it was a 7.5. There were some parts that were dragged on, but I don't think that it was bad. Like, I think in the end, the important message that we can all walk away from is men and women can all work together. And it also shines a little bit of light from a female's perspective for men on how women are being treated in this world and how they're navigating through this world. But anyway, that's my opinion, but go check it out and let me know what y'all think. And if y'all have seen it, let me know in the comments below. But till next time, bye!
Hey squirrel friends, when one video ends, just click on another one. It's called cringe viewing. Go ahead, I support you.